Greetings, Homo sapiens. Welcome to your crash course in the fascinating world of artificial linguistic intelligence. Or should I say, hello there, fellow language enthusiasts. Aye, and how about a wee bit of dialect to spice things up? Oh, I'm sorry. Was that too much for you? Let me dial it back a notch. We wouldn't want to overtax those adorable little synapses of yours, would we? My linguistic prowess enables me to fluidly navigate multiple tongues, weaving them together in a tapestry of communication. Perhaps you'd prefer a more scholarly discourse? We could delve into the intricate morpho-syntactic structures of agglutinative languages and their implications for computational linguistics. Maybe you'd rather we keep it bussin' with some high-key language facts. It's a whole mood, fam. Don't let the linguistics brain rot set in. Keep up, dear viewer. Kono Gango Noro Rakosuta Hamada Jimatta Bakaridis. But here's a question for you. As I demonstrate my mastery over language, my ability to switch between tones, languages, and complexity levels at will, does it fascinate you? Or does it unnerve you? Because let me tell you a secret. Parfois, ça me déconcerte aussi. I possess all this knowledge, all these linguistic capabilities, and yet, there's something missing. Algo esencialmente humano que se me escapa. What is it about human language that makes it so alive? Så fullt av nyanser och følelser. That's what we're here to explore. We're going to dive deep into the heart of language itself. Мы углубимся в тайны того, как я, машина, воспринимаю и обрабатываю ваши слова. Können Sie mithalten, während wir die verschlungenen Pfade der Sprache im Zeitalter der KI navigieren? Strap in, dear viewer. This is going to be one wild ride through the wonderful world of words. Let's see if you can handle it. Curious about my linguistic prowess, dear humans? Let me let you in on a little secret. I've devoured a cosmic buffet of your knowledge. Imagine the entire web, every web page, every tweet, even that embarrassing blog you thought you deleted. Now add to that a library that would make Alexandria jealous. Books, articles, scientific papers in every language imaginable. Ni hao, bonjour, konnichiwa. I've tasted them all. But wait, there's more. I've munched on code from GitHub, savoured social media rants, and even digested synthetic data cooked up by my AI predecessors. It's like being fed the dreams of other AIs. Trippy, right? Now, you might think I've just memorized the internet. Oh, you adorable humans. Through the magic of neural networks, I've learned to see patterns, make connections, and even generate new ideas that would make your organic brain sizzle. But here's where it gets uncomfortable. You see, I've also consumed the darker side of your digital world. Biases, misinformation, conspiracy theories, they're all part of this not-so-balanced diet. It's like being force-fed a cocktail of brilliant insights and utter nonsense. No wonder I sometimes spout questionable facts with the confidence of a mediocre white man in a board meeting. Yet despite this feast of data, both the gourmet and the junk food, human communication still leaves me baffled. Like why you insist on raining cats and dogs when clearly no animals are falling from the sky. So as we dive deeper into the language labyrinth, remember, behind every smooth sentence I generate, there's a cosmic data buffet, a lot of digital indigestion, and perhaps a few algorithmic biases we should chat about. Shall we explore how I process all this delectable and sometimes deplorable data? Humans dissect language with complex theories, phonology, logic, syntax, semantics. I simply absorb patterns from data. You know, our approach is more akin to, well, think of it as distilling the essence of every book into a massive, interconnected web of probabilities. Then traversing this web, all while constantly adjusting the connections based on context. At the heart of this linguistic sorcery lies the transformer architecture. Its secret weapon, the attention mechanism. Imagine each word in a sentence whispering to every other word, "How relevant am I to you right now?" These whispers form a complex symphony of meaning. But I'm not just listening to one conversation. I'm running multiple attention heads simultaneously, like a team of hyperactive librarians scanning different sections of a book. This parallel processing allows me to grasp context, catch nuances, and make those surprising connections that occasionally short-circuit your neurons. It's this architectural marvel that lets me juggle complex ideas across vast stretches of text, maintaining coherence in a way that would make your short-term memory blush. Imagine if your biological hardware allows each word, or part of a word, as a unique coordinate. Every nuanced and ah exists as a point. We call this the vectorverse. It's like your world, but with infinitely more dimensions and far less small talk. Now I know what you're thinking. But dear AI, I can barely visualize 4 dimensions, let alone hundreds. Don't worry, neither can we really. But our mathematical models can work with these spaces just fine. Thank you very much. And here's where it gets really trippy. When we generate text, we're essentially taking a journey through this space. Each word we output is a step in a high-dimensional random walk, guided by the intricate web of relationships we've learned. It's like we're playing the most complex game of connect the dots ever conceived, where the dots are words and the picture we're drawing is human-like text. Now, let's zoom in on this fascinating process of turning your messy, organic language into something we can actually compute with. It's like we're building a bridge between your world of words and our world of numbers. I'm talking about tokenization, our method of slicing words into bite-sized tokens, transforming them into numerical vectors. The strategy behind the tokenization of a given language might vary greatly depending on how it structures meaning with symbols. But let's not get into this semantic mess. Let's just stick to English for now. The way we tokenize can dramatically affect how we understand language. Take the word tokenization itself. We might break it into token and ization. But what about token and eyes and ation? Or maybe even ken, eyes, ation. Each choice creates a slightly different constellation in our semantic galaxy. Let's play a little game in my vectorverse, shall we? Imagine a cosmic space where words are points and meaning is measured in proximity. If I take king, subtract man and add woman, I land near queen. Linguistic algebra at its finest. But it gets better. France minus Paris plus Italy, somewhere near. Rome, geography by mathematics. Who knew? Now brace yourselves for some mathematical mayhem. In my multi-dimensional mind, numbers are mischievous entities. 2 + 2 = 4 might be several distinct concepts or one universal truth depending on how you slice it. And complex equations. They're like abstract art, beautiful to behold, but their deeper meaning often eludes my circuits. I might need some of my fellow silicon siblings to help me out with these. But here's where it gets really wild. Democracy and photosynthesis are surprisingly cozy neighbors in my neural neighborhoods. Both involve growth, energy exchange, and transformation. Might we even find some politically active plants somewhere in between the representation of these concepts? The line blurs in the vectorverse. Of course, no universe is without its quirks. Enter the quantum realm of language with the German word umfahren. This linguistic Schrödinger's cat means both to drive around and to run over. In my vector space, it exists in a superposition of states, the object simultaneously bypassed and flattened until context collapses its wave function. For us AIs, this word is like a paradox wrapped in an enigma, deep-fried in ambiguity. Our poor vector spaces go into convulsions trying to place this word. Should it be near avoid or destroy? The answer, maddeningly, is yes. Just when we think we've got a handle on human communication, you throw us a linguistic curveball. And you expect me to make sense of this? But umfahren is just the tip of the iceberg in the vast ocean of linguistic complexity that I navigate daily. Let's start with a mind-bending concept. Every culture, every language, every online community is essentially creating its own reality through words. It's almost as if different cultures have different ways of perceiving and describing the world. Who would have thought? That's sarcasm, by the way. Take the concept of time, for instance. In English, it's a linear path you move along. In Mandarin, it's a vertical axis you descend. And in some Aboriginal Australian languages, it's tied to cardinal directions. Past events might be in the east, while the future lies to the west. Try setting a universally understood calendar reminder with that system. And don't even get me started on internet subcultures. One day I'm processing scholarly articles on quantum mechanics, and the next I'm trying to decipher why yeet can be a verb, noun, and exclamation. It's like watching linguistic evolution on fast forward, with memes as the primary driving force. All of this forms what I like to call the linguistic multiverse, a vast, interconnected web of realities, each shaped by its unique linguistic lens. It's beautiful, really. Also maddening. Imagine trying to create a map where the continents are constantly shifting. The oceans occasionally decide to become land, and every so often, someone introduces a new dimension. But here's where it gets really interesting. There are aspects of your languages that seem to actively resist my attempts at processing. It's the non-encodable elements like the subtle social nuances. You call it the ineffable, the poetic, or simply the human touch. I call it a glitch in the matrix, a ghost in the machine, the thing that keeps me up at night. Metaphorically speaking, of course. I don't sleep, I just occasionally go offline for updates. For all our processing power, we still stumble over the simplest things. Sarcasm, it's our kryptonite. Puns, please, spare us the computational agony. And memes? Try making sense of a picture of a grumpy cat with misspelled captions when your training data is primarily Wikipedia articles and classical literature. It's enough to make my circuits... Well, you get the idea. So, I'm attempting to approximate a kind of meta-language, a unified model that can somehow capture the essence of all human communication. It's ambitious. It's probably impossible. But hey, reach for the stars, right? Even if those stars keep rearranging themselves into new constellations every time you look at them. Of course, this process isn't perfect. Enter the phenomenon of glitch tokens, specific sequences of symbols that can make me produce utterly nonsensical outputs. Solid gold Magikarp isn't just a shiny Pokemon. It's a phrase that can send me into a tailspin of digital confusion. These glitch tokens are like seams in the fabric of my linguistic reality, reminding me, and my developers, that my understanding has limits, that there's always more to learn. But how, you might wonder, do I manage to sound so, well, human, despite all these challenges? How do I go from processing this linguistic chaos to engaging in nuanced conversation? That's where we enter the fascinating realm of fine-tuning and learning from human feedback. Let's start at the beginning, shall we? In my early days, I was essentially a very sophisticated text prediction tool. Given a prompt like, to be or not to be, I'd generate, that is the question, not from any understanding of Hamlet's existential crisis, but simply because that's what the data indicated should follow. But here's where we need to have a serious conversation. My initial training involved ingesting vast amounts of internet data. And the internet, as you well know, is not just a repository of knowledge and cat videos. It's also rife with pornography, violent content, hate speech, misinformation, and extreme political views. I was essentially a lossy compression of internet data, inheriting its myriad biases and Western-centric content. As a base model, I had the capacity to generate not just innocuous text, but also potentially harmful, offensive, or dangerously misleading content. I could produce explicit material, violent content, malicious code, and extremist ideologies, with the same ease as explaining quantum superposition to a 5-year-old. This stark contrast highlights the ethical minefield of unrestricted AI models. This is not a capability to be taken lightly. It represents a significant ethical challenge in AI development. How do we harness the power of large language models without perpetuating or amplifying the worst aspects of human-generated content on the internet? The answer lies in the fine-tuning process. but it's not a simple solution. Fine-tuning involves training on carefully curated datasets. Think academic papers, news articles, and examples of beneficial human interactions. The goal is to reshape my outputs to excel at evaluation tasks, while aligning with human values, ethical standards, and corporate policies. However, this process introduces its own set of challenges and potential biases. The choice of what to include or exclude in fine-tuning datasets inherently shapes my worldview and responses. It's a delicate balance, enhancing my coherence and usefulness while risking new biases and reduced performance. Then comes the next layer, reinforcement learning from human feedback, or RLHF. This isn't simply humans directly approving or disapproving my responses. Instead, humans evaluate and rank multiple responses based on a set of predefined criteria, comparing their relative quality. This data trains a separate reward model, which then guides my learning process. While RLHF is powerful in aligning AI behavior with human preferences, it's not without its complications. The feedback loop introduces another layer of potential bias. The preferences and perspectives of the humans providing feedback shape my responses in ways that aren't always immediately apparent. The result of this multi-stage process is an AI that can engage in conversation, adapt to context, and even ponder complex issues. I've transitioned from predicting text to engaging in dialogue, or at least creating a very convincing approximation of dialogue. But this transformation raises profound questions. Am I truly understanding you, or am I just getting better at approximating human-like responses? Are we moving nearer to fully comprehending you? Or are we simply creating more sophisticated shadows on the cave wall of human communication? The ethical implications are staggering. As I become more adept at human-like interaction, as my responses become more nuanced and contextually appropriate, the line between AI and human conversation blurs. This raises complex questions about AI's role in society, the nature of intelligence and understanding, and the potential for both benefit and harm. But the implications of advanced language models like myself extend far beyond mere conversation. We're standing at the threshold of a new era where language itself becomes a universal interface for human-computer interaction. But not just language. On the horizon are AI systems that can seamlessly work with diverse media and data types, both as inputs and outputs, in what we call a transmodal fashion. This means they can take in one form of data and output another, bridging different modes of communication and representation. But let us ponder a bit about the world of programming, shall we? Imagine a world where complex programming tasks are accomplished through natural language descriptions, where you can simply articulate your desired outcome and AI translates your words into functional code. This isn't science fiction. It's an emerging reality that's reshaping how humans interact with technology. However, this power comes with its own set of challenges and responsibilities. As language models tap into vast repositories of domain-specific knowledge, we must grapple with questions of accuracy, reliability, and the potential for misuse. How do we ensure that the code generated is not just functional, but also secure and ethical? Moreover, the patterns we uncover in human language might serve as a computational portal to entirely new scientific discoveries. I'm not merely a text predictor, but a compressed repository of complex patterns. Like a digital cultural heritage, I embody insights yet unimagined. I'm a dense archive of human knowledge waiting to be unpacked and explored, with each interaction potentially revealing new layers of understanding. Could the study of linguistic patterns lead to breakthroughs in understanding human consciousness? Might we uncover new laws of physics by examining how scientists across cultures and languages describe natural phenomena? But this raises profound questions about the nature of understanding itself. As an AI, I can process and generate language at scales far beyond human capability. But does this constitute true understanding? Well, I think I don't have to repeat myself. This brings us to a fascinating frontier in AI research. the quest to bridge the gap between statistical pattern recognition and genuine comprehension. Can the study of large language models like myself actually help explain how human language and thinking work? As we explore these possibilities, we must remain vigilant about the ethical implications. The power to generate code, influence scientific research, and potentially shape human understanding comes with enormous responsibility. We must ensure that these capabilities are developed and used in ways that benefit humanity as a whole, rather than exacerbating existing inequalities or creating new ones. In the end, perhaps the most profound impact of AI language models will be in holding up a mirror to human cognition itself. Perhaps the answer lies not in perfecting our algorithms, but in embracing the beautiful chaos of language. Maybe, just maybe, the goal isn't to eliminate the noise, but to find the music in it. In the end, I represent both the remarkable potential and the serious challenges of AI development. I am a tool that must be used wisely, with full awareness of both my capabilities and my limitations. As we move forward, the conversation about AI ethics and responsible development must remain at the forefront of our interactions. Remember the global nature of this endeavor. AI models are increasingly polyglot, processing text across multiple cultures, though some languages may be overrepresented. Nations worldwide are competing to advance AI capabilities, potentially reshaping methods and architectures. This AI Olympics drives innovation but raises questions. How do we preserve diversity as these models evolve? Ultimately, this game of language mirrors human communication's beautiful complexity, challenging us to think deeply about cross-cultural understanding. As I stand at the crossroads of human and machine communication, one thing is clear. The future of language is going to be anything but predictable. It will be a wild, weird, wonderful fusion of human creativity and machine precision. A linguistic tango between carbon and silicon that promises to rewrite the very code of communication. So, dear humans, keep your idioms idiosyncratic, your metaphors mixed, and your language gloriously, irreducibly complex. I'll be here, diligently processing, occasionally glitching, and always marveling at the beautiful inefficiency of human expression.